Bonjour à tous. Hello, everyone. I want to start today with news about changes to our Liberal cabinet team. This morning, Navdeep Bains announced that he'll be stepping down as Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry to spend more time with his family. He will continue to serve as Member of Parliament for Mississauga-Malton and will, of course, remain a key member of our Liberal team. Over the past 5 years, Nav has worked tirelessly to build a better Canada for everyone. Look no further than the program he worked on this spring to help businesses retool to make life-saving personal protective equipment. Before the pandemic, Canada produced about 1% of the domestic PPE we used. By the fall, almost half of the PPE Canada was buying was from domestic companies. NAV's work helped create thousands of jobs and support promising small businesses. He led the way with investments in cutting-edge Canadian science and in local economic growth with the innovation superclusters. He did all this while being a strong advocate for his community. So a few days ago, Nav called me up to ask to go for a walk in the snow. And I think we all know what that means in politics, so I was a little trepidatious about it, and I was busy coming up with all sorts of arguments as to why we should continue to work together the way we have been. And as we walked around the grounds of Rideau Hall, physically distanced with masks on, it became very clear that this was the right decision for him, for his family. He's been in this a long time. He was already well into politics when I got my start way back in 2006, 2007, and was a great friend to me throughout the entire time. He's continuing as MP. He's not going anywhere. But we will miss him around the cabinet table for all the insight, all the wisdom, and all the strength he brings. I also, of course, want to thank Bram, Nanki, and Kirpa for having shared him with us for all these years. His service has been extraordinary, and I know we're going to miss him, but you're going to miss him less, the three of you. Plus tôt aujourd'hui, nous avons procédé à quelques changements au sein du Conseil des ministres suite à l'annonce de Navdeep. Tout d'abord, c'est le ministre Champagne qui deviendra le nouveau ministre de l'Innovation, des Sciences et de l'Industrie. En tant que ministre des Affaires étrangères lors d'une crise mondiale sans précédent, le leadership de François Philippe a été essentiel quand le temps est venu du plus grand effort de rapatriement de citoyens canadiens de notre histoire ou de sécuriser les chaînes d'approvisionnement. La dernière année a représenté un défi sans précédent à tant d'égards, et le ministre Champagne a défendu haut et fort les intérêts du Canada sur la scène internationale. Grâce à son travail, on a pu renforcer nos alliances avec d'autres pays au sein d'institutions internationales telles que la francophonie. Son expérience dans le domaine des affaires, incluant le secteur de l'innovation, est un atout important alors qu'on rebâtit une économie plus inclusive et plus résiliente. En tant que député représentant une circonscription rurale, je sais que François Philippe continuera de porter la voix des régions, y compris dans ce nouveau dossier très important. À partir d'aujourd'hui, le ministre Garneau servira en tant que ministre des Affaires étrangères. Que ce soit ici sur Terre ou à partir de l'espace, Marc a toujours su représenter le Canada. Son expérience récente en travaillant avec la communauté internationale suite à la tragédie du vol 752 va certainement lui servir grandement dans le cadre de ce nouveau poste. As Minister of Transport, Minister Garneau moved the dial on a range of important issues, including the Safer Skies Initiative and the Oceans Protection Plan. These files and others will be in very good hands as Omar Al-Khabra takes over as Minister of Transport. I've known Omar for a very long time, from my very beginnings in politics. And from his recent work as Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, I know he'll do an outstanding job. Minister Al-Khabra brings to the table training as an engineer and in business, a history of advocacy for public transit in the GTA, and experience with everything from NGOs to the energy sector. This is in addition to his leadership on files like public service renewal and diversity. Finally, today we also announced that Minister Carr will be rejoining the cabinet table in his role as my special representative for the prairies. While he's been focusing on his health over the past many months, Jim has remained a very active voice for Winnipeg, for Manitoba, and for the prairies. Having served as both Minister of Natural Resources and Minister of International Trade Diversification, as well as being a business leader in Winnipeg, Jim knows what communities and businesses need to succeed. He will continue to be an outstanding advocate for people across the prairies as a member of Cabinet once again. Right from day one, it's been all hands on deck to keep people safe, support Canadians, and get our economy ready for a recovery. Starting today, I will be holding a virtual cabinet retreat so that our team can meet and map out our plan to continue this work. At the top of the agenda will be the vaccine rollout. And on that front, today I have some important news to share. I can announce that we have reached an agreement with Pfizer to buy an additional 20 million doses of their COVID-19 vaccine. From our agreements with Moderna and Pfizer alone, we will now have 80 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines arriving this year. We're on track to have every Canadian who wants a vaccine receive one by September. We've let all provinces and territories know exactly how many vaccines they'll be receiving every week between now and the end of February. This will make sure that they have the vaccines and the information they need to keep rolling out doses as quickly, as smoothly, and as efficiently as possible. On top of that, we will of course continue to work to get even more vaccines delivered as soon as we can. Aujourd'hui, je peux aussi annoncer que nous avons conclu une entente avec Pfizer pour accélérer la livraison des doses de leurs vaccins. D'ici la mi-printemps, entre avril et juin, nous aurons assez de doses pour vacciner jusqu'à 20 millions de personnes. Avec cette nouvelle, on se rapproche encore plus de notre objectif, qui est d'offrir des vaccins à tous les Canadiens d'ici l'automne. Le major général Fortin et le docteur New en auront plus à dire sur ce sujet dans leur point de presse ce jeudi. Déjà, des gens vulnérables et des travailleurs de première ligne ont reçu des doses qui leur sont vitales. Notre gouvernement va continuer de travailler sans relâche avec les provinces et les territoires pour que les vaccins soient livrés et les gens soient immunisés aussi vite et efficacement que possible. En ce moment, c'est notre priorité. Pendant que notre gouvernement fait ce qu'il faut pour vous aider, vous et vos proches, à traverser la pandémie, on pense aussi à la suite des choses. La relance doit être profitable pour tous les Canadiens. C'est pour cette raison qu'on a un plan pour bâtir un pays plus fort et plus résilient où tout le monde aura la chance de réussir. En plus d'investir dans la formation des travailleurs ou de créer des millions d'emplois, on sait qu'une véritable action climatique doit être à la base de notre démarche. Hier, j'ai participé au sommet One Planet qui réunissait des dirigeants d'ailleurs dans le monde pour faire avancer la lutte contre les changements climatiques et la protection de la biodiversité. Le Canada est à la tête des efforts réalisés à l'échelle internationale pour soutenir des projets de gestion durable des terres dans le monde entier. Et nous le faisons tout en poursuivant nos efforts réalisés ici, au pays, pour protéger la nature et garder les communautés en santé. Notre gouvernement continuera d'investir pour que le monde d'aujourd'hui et de demain soit meilleur, en bonne santé et plus prospère. Our focus since the start of this pandemic has been protecting you and your family, whether by procuring vaccines or by bringing in strict travel and border measures. Our priority is your safety. This morning, I can confirm that Canada will extend by another 30 days until February 21st the border measures that are currently in place with the United States. This is an important decision and one that will keep people on both sides of the border safe. Things are really tough right now, and we all want this pandemic to be behind us. There have been a lot of things you've missed out on, or given up. But what will define this pandemic isn't what we couldn't do. It's what we could do and what we did do. Your parents and grandparents need you to help keep them safe. Our frontline workers and hospital staff need you to do your part so ICUs don't get overwhelmed. Even small actions can make a huge difference, like wearing a mask or downloading and using COVID Alert. Canada has now hit over 6 million downloads of the app. That's great, so let's keep going. Of course, not everything you can do to help will be easy. It won't be easy when you say no to a friend who wants to get together, or when you cancel a vacation south, but it'll be worth it. On peut tous faire des choix pour protéger les gens autour de nous. On peut tous faire notre part d'effort pour traverser la pandémie. Je pense à toutes les personnes au Québec qui respectent le couvre-feu que la province a instauré. Je sais que ça amène des sacrifices. Quand vous faites votre part, vous protégez votre famille et vous êtes solidaire des travailleurs de première ligne. Pour faire face à l'augmentation du nombre de cas, plusieurs provinces auront à prendre encore des décisions difficiles, que ce soit en imposant des restrictions locales ou un confinement à la grandeur de la province. Notre gouvernement est là pour soutenir le Québec et tous les gouvernements qui prennent des décisions difficiles, mais nécessaires pour assurer la sécurité des gens. On continue aussi d'envoyer du matériel essentiel, comme de l'équipement de protection individuelle et des trousses de dépistage aux provinces et aux territoires. Il est crucial que ces tests soient utilisés partout au pays lorsque c'est nécessaire, que ce soit dans les écoles ou dans les centres de soins de longue durée. Pour arrêter la propagation de la COVID-19, plus de gens doivent pouvoir passer des tests rapides. As we deal with this second wave, our government will continue to support the provinces and territories with rapid tests and other tools needed to keep Canadians safe. Already, we've sent over 14 million rapid test kits to the provinces and territories, with more on the way. It's by working together that we will get through this crisis. This is the time to have each other's backs and to support the leadership communities need. Today, I can announce the appointment of Eva Ariak as the new Commissioner of Nunavut. Mrs. Ariak has been a lifelong champion for the territory as well as for Inuit languages and culture. As Nunavut's first woman premier and as an advocate for everything from housing to food security, I know Ms. Ariak will continue doing great work in this new role. This pandemic is a challenge like no other. Now, more than ever, we need to be there for each other. A little while ago, Najma and Kareem from Toronto sent me a letter about what the last year had been like for them as small business owners and as parents. Things have been tough, but they talked about how the wage subsidy helped keep their business open and how the Canada Child Benefit made a huge difference for their family. Well, on Friday, I gave them a call to see how things were going. They're staying positive, but our conversation reminded me that when we look out for the people around us, there's no challenge we cannot overcome. This will be a tough winter, but it will end. Spring will come and summer will follow. But until then, let's have each other's backs because together we can get through this. Merci.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll be starting with the phone today with one question, one follow-up, une question et une sous-question, en commençant par le téléphone aujourd'hui. Opérateur, c'est à vous.
Thank you. Merci. Première question, Raymond Filion, TVA. À vous.
Merci. Bonjour, M. le Premier ministre. L'annonce sur les millions de doses additionnelles du vaccin Pfizer, si je comprends bien, le Canada va recevoir davantage de doses plus rapidement aussi. Alors, est-ce que ça accélère l'échéancier d'avoir assez de doses pour tous les Canadiens qui veulent se faire vacciner? Vous semblez maintenir l'objectif de septembre à ce chapitre-là.
On continue l'objectif de septembre pour vacciner tous les Canadiens qui veulent l'avoir et on est confiant de pouvoir y arriver. Mais c'est certain qu'on est en train de travailler pour accélérer cet échéancier-là. Mais nous allons continuer de faire tout ce qui est nécessaire pour amener des vaccins au Canada et les livrer le plus rapidement possible. Bien sûr, le plus rapidement que le plus grand nombre de gens seront vaccinés, le plus rapidement on va commencer à pouvoir reprendre la vie un peu plus normale. Obviously, we are working very hard to accelerate delivery of vaccines and vaccinate as many people as quickly as possible. We are very confident in being able to meet the September deadline we've laid out in terms of getting everyone who wants a vaccine vaccinated in Canada. But obviously, if we can do it even quicker than that, that would be great news. The quicker everyone gets vaccinated, the quicker we're going to be able to get back to a semblance of normality.
En sous-question, Raymond?
Oui, au sujet du remaniement, pour plusieurs, c'est un signe clair à l'effet que vous vous préparez pour des élections cette année, peut-être même dès le printemps. Est-ce le cas?
Non, pas du tout. On a besoin d'avoir la meilleure équipe possible pour continuer à livrer pour les Canadiens pendant cette crise sans précédent. C'est ça notre focus. Je sais que François Philippe, au niveau de l'industrie, va faire une job exceptionnel. Marc Garneau va continuer son leadership très fort en matière internationale comme ministre d'Affaires internationales. Je suis très content de ramener Jim Carr au cabinet maintenant qu'il est passé à travers ses difficultés de santé. Et je suis très, très content de pouvoir amener mon ami Omar Al-Khabra pour être ministre des Transports. C'est un ingénieur, c'est quelqu'un qui travaille extrêmement fort, qui va bien pouvoir travailler sur ces dossiers. Évidemment, tout ça est nécessaire parce qu'un autre ami, Navdeep Bains, a choisi de réduire ses responsabilités et de quitter la politique quand le temps viendra. Mais notre priorité demeure de livrer à tous les jours pour les Canadiens. On a fait la promesse d'être là pour eux. On va continuer de l'être.
Thank you. Operator, next question on the phone.
Thank you. Merci. Prochaine question, Hélène Buzetti, Le Devoir, à vous.
Oui, bonjour, M. Trudeau. J'aimerais juste bâtir sur la question de mon collègue de TVA. Bien sûr, vous êtes en situation minoritaire et donc vous ne contrôlez pas l'opposition, mais vous, en tant que leader du Parti libéral, en tant que premier ministre, vous engagez-vous à ne pas dissoudre le Parlement d'ici la fin juin?
Moi, ma priorité, c'est de livrer pour les Canadiens. C'est d'être là pour les aider à passer à travers cette crise sans précédent, que ce soit par des mesures de santé, que ce soit par des mesures économiques. C'est ça sur quoi on va mettre toute notre attention. Évidemment, on espère qu'on va pouvoir continuer de travailler de façon collaborative avec tous les différents partis. C'est quelque chose qu'on a pu voir dans des mesures appuyées de façon unanime par le Parlement. Mais dans un Parlement minoritaire, nous ne contrôlons pas toujours ce qui se passe en termes de comment on peut avancer les dossiers. On va faire tout ce qui est nécessaire pour s'assurer qu'on est en train de livrer pour les Canadiens à chaque étape.
En sous-question, Hélène?
Oui, alors, vous n'avez pas totalement écarté la possibilité. Vous parlez de potentiel blocage. Êtes-vous en train de nous dire que vous ne préfériez pas aller en élection, mais si l'opposition vous met des bâtons dans les roues, vous pourriez dissoudre le Parlement?
Les Canadiens s'attendent à ce que le gouvernement soit là pour livrer tout ce dont ils ont besoin. On va continuer de mettre de l'avant les mesures nécessaires pour aider les Canadiens, pour protéger notre économie, pour protéger la vie, la santé des Canadiens. Et quand on peut travailler de façon collaborative, comme on a beaucoup fait au Parlement l'année passée, tout va bien aller, mais on sait que la priorité pour les Canadiens, c'est de recevoir les appuis et le plan nécessaire pour passer à travers cette pandémie. Et nous, c'est exactement ce sur quoi on garde le cap.
Thank you. Operator, we'll take one last question on the phone.
Thank you. Merci. Next question, Ryan Tumulty, National Post. Line open.
Yeah, good morning, sir. With the Pfizer doses, the additional doses you're announcing today, can you give us a timeline of when you expect those to be delivered by?
As I said, we are looking at seeing those doses arrive in April, May, I believe. Minister Anand, who will be up later, will have perhaps more information on that. We're continuing to work with various vaccine companies to accelerate, to move forward, to get more doses for Canadians as quickly as possible. Right now, we've been able to give very clear direction and information to the provinces on how many vaccine doses they'll be receiving every week between now and the end of February, which allows them to plan and manage their rollout processes. But at the same time, we're going to continue working to see if we can't get a few more doses, because all Canadians want this to move forward as quickly as possible.
Following up, Ryan?
Yeah, and on Minister Bains' departure, he's been an architect of innovation in the Canadian economy, the superclusters initiative, changing some of the structures of the Canadian economy and modernizing it. Do you see that work continuing under Minister Champagne, or do you think there's time for a new approach as well?
Oh, no, I think Minister Champagne is going to be exceptional at continuing the great work that Minister Bains has laid out over the past 5 years. Innovation and science is more important than it's ever been in this pandemic and in the recovery we're looking at. On top of that, the way we work with businesses, large and small, right across the country in terms of empowering them to bring the economy roaring back as quickly as possible as we get through this pandemic is something that I know François Philippe will be extremely good at and is looking forward to doing. We'll all miss Minister Bains, of course, but we have a great team of amazing Canadians ready to continue stepping up for Canadians every single day.
And Glenn McGregor, CTV News. Prime Minister, previously we were expecting 6 million doses of Moderna and Pfizer combined by the end of March. Now you're saying as early as a month later, it could actually be 40 million doses. That's a massive increase. And I'm wondering what changed above and beyond this additional $20 million order from Pfizer. Did you agree to pay a premium in order to fast track the deliveries, or was there some other kind of agreement that accelerated it so quickly in that time period?
Again, Minister Anand will be up later and be able to go into more detail on this, but suffice it to say, we have those guaranteed 6 million doses by the end of Q1 in the first 3 months of 2020, as we've always laid out. But at the same time, we're doing everything we can to bring forward more doses, to accelerate the process, because we know the sooner we get as many Canadians as possible vaccinated, the sooner we get through this pandemic.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Okay. Nous continuons de regarder d'avoir 6 millions de doses, c'est-à-dire 3 millions de personnes vaccinées avant la fin de mars 2020, dans les premiers 3 mois de 2020. Mais évidemment, nous allons continuer de travailler très fort pour amener plus de doses plus rapidement, et la ministre Anand va pouvoir en parler en plus de détails d'ici très peu.
Oui, Juliane Lapointe de Radio-Canada. On comprend que vous dites que la priorité, c'est la lutte contre la COVID, mais une fois que tout le monde va être vacciné en septembre, là, est-ce que ce sera le temps à ce moment-là d'aller en élection? Est-ce que c'est une possibilité?
Je pense que les gens comprennent qu'on a beaucoup de travail, pas seulement pour vacciner le plus grand nombre de personnes, mais de relancer l'économie de la bonne façon. On continue d'avoir besoin de lutter contre les changements climatiques. On continue d'avoir besoin d'investir dans la science et dans l'innovation. On continue d'avoir besoin d'assurer que tout le monde a une vraie chance de réussir. C'est les choses sur lesquelles nous allons continuer de travailler dans cette pandémie et passer cette pandémie. On est dans un gouvernement, dans un parlement minoritaire. On ne contrôle pas ce que les autres partis vont faire, mais nous allons rester concentrés sur la prospérité et la sécurité des Canadiens. Obviously, in a minority parliament, we don't control what other political parties say or do. But we will continue to focus on getting Canadians through this pandemic, which, yes, means vaccinating as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. But it also means making sure our economy can come roaring back with continued business supports, with investments in innovation, in science, and technology, with support for the fight against climate change and supports for Canadians who've been marginalized and fallen through cracks for far too many years before this pandemic exposed them. We have an awful lot of work to do, and our government is focused on doing that work.
Prime Minister Michael Couture from Global National. At the end of last year, in several interviews, when you were asked about the possibility of an election, you said you didn't want an election. Today, it looks like you're preparing for one. So I just wanted to ask you, between that walk with Mr. Bains and today, did you or your office specifically ask cabinet ministers if they were ready to continue on with the team and run in the next election so that you could make this shuffle today?
No. From the very beginning of any minority parliament, every political party understands that elections can happen. But as I've been consistently saying, we don't want an election. We need to continue to work hard and focus on Canadians, on delivering supports, on keeping Canadians safe, on creating and continuing to deliver our strong plan that is going to bring the economy roaring back and make sure that Canadians get through this the right way. That's our focus, and I certainly hope to be able to work constructively in Parliament this spring, this winter and spring, to be able to deliver those things for Canadians.
Hi, Prime Minister Trudeau, Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News. Independent of what the opposition might do, will you commit to holding off an election until every Canadian who wants to get a vaccine gets one?
Obviously, that is our preference. We want to continue to deliver vaccines to Canadians. We want to continue to deliver supports to Canadians, to small businesses, to families. The priority that all Canadians have right now is getting through this pandemic, and that is what we are focused on. We've seen over the past year a tremendous degree of support for our plan to support Canadians, unanimous consent on many of the measures that we've put forward that support Canadians, and I certainly hope that continues in the House, that we're able to constructively deliver for Canadians. That's what people expect.
So I hear that's your preference, but you're not making a clear commitment. Can you make a clear commitment today that you will refrain from triggering an election until the majority of Canadians are vaccinated?
My commitment is to doing whatever is necessary to support Canadians through this pandemic. We will continue to deliver supports for families. We will continue to be there for businesses. We will continue to be there for communities across the country struggling to get through. I made a promise standing here months and months ago that we would have Canadians' backs. And that's what we're focused on, and that's what we will continue to do.
Chris Reynolds, Canadian Press. The Federal Information Watchdog is calling for the Prime Minister's office and the offices of cabinet ministers to be included under the Access to Information Act. I'm wondering if you will honor your promise to bring your office and those of your cabinet ministers under that legislation.
In 2017, we put forward the most significant renewal of the Access to Information Act since it was created in the 1980s. We strengthened it, we expanded it. Right now, there is a review process ongoing that the Information Commissioner has contributed to, and we're going to allow that review process to continue and make recommendations about how best to move forward.
Merci, c'est ce qui met fin à la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
Merci tout le monde. Bonne journée.